The dirty man with torn clothes grabbed Officer Sarah's arm so hard she almost fell. His eyes were wide with fear as he whispered 3 words that made her blood freeze. "Don't say anything." Before Sarah could ask what he meant, the homeless man pointed behind her with a shaking finger. What she saw made her heart stop beating for a moment. 3 men in black suits were walking toward them, and one of them had his hand inside his jacket, reaching for something that definitely wasn't a phone. The homeless man's grip got tighter. "They think you heard something you shouldn't have," he whispered so quietly she could barely hear him. "If you talk now, you're dead." Sarah's hand moved toward her radio, but the man shook his head fast. "No police backup. They're watching everything." The 3 men in suits were getting closer. Sarah could see their faces now, cold and mean, like sharks smelling blood in the water. The homeless man pulled her behind a big trash can, and they both held their breath. "How do you know about this?" Sarah whispered. The man looked at her with eyes that had seen too much pain. "Because I used to be one of them." 3 hours earlier, Officer Sarah Martinez had been walking her beat on 5th Street when she first saw him. The homeless man was sitting by the old pizza shop, counting coins in his dirty baseball cap. His beard was long and messy, and his clothes looked like they hadn't been washed in months. Most people walked past him like he was invisible. That made Sarah sad. She always tried to be kind to people who had nowhere to go. "Good morning," she said, stopping in front of him. The man looked up, surprised. Most cops just told him to move along. "Morning, officer," he said quietly. Sarah noticed something strange about his voice. It didn't sound like other homeless people she'd met. This man spoke clearly, like he used to have a good job. "What's your name?" she asked. "Marcus," he said, then looked away quickly. Sarah bought him a cup of coffee from the shop. When she came back, Marcus was staring at a black car parked across the street. His whole body had gone stiff, like a cat seeing a big dog. "You okay?" Sarah asked. Marcus took the coffee, but kept watching the car. "That car's been here 3 times this week," he said. "Same men inside. They're not from around here." Sarah looked at the car. The windows were so dark she couldn't see inside. "Maybe they're just lost tourists." Marcus shook his head. "Tourists don't carry guns under their jackets." That's when Sarah noticed it too. The way the men sat in the car, always watching, always waiting. It made her skin crawl. "I think you should be careful, officer," Marcus said. "These streets aren't as safe as they used to be." Sarah was about to ask him more questions when her radio crackled to life. "Unit 23, we have a break-in at the jewelry store on 7th Street. As she started to leave, Marcus called out, "Officer Sarah." She turned around, surprised he knew her name. "If you ever see those men again," he said, his voice deadly serious, "don't let them know you're watching them." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. There was something about the way Marcus said it that made her believe every word. But she had no idea that in just 3 hours, those same men would be hunting her down, and only Marcus would stand between her and a bullet to the head. The jewelry store break-in turned out to be a false alarm. Someone had accidentally set off the security system while cleaning windows. Sarah was walking back to her patrol area when she heard angry voices coming from the alley behind Murphy's bar. She should have called for backup. She should have waited. But Sarah had always been the type of cop who jumped in to help people, even when it was dangerous. Quietly, she crept toward the alley. The voices got louder as she got closer. She could hear at least 3 men talking, and they sounded very upset about something. The shipment was supposed to arrive yesterday. One man said in a thick accent, "The boss is getting impatient." Sarah pressed herself against the brick wall and listened. Her heart was beating so loud she was sure they could hear it. "It's not my fault the truck broke down," another voice replied. "The driver says he'll be here tonight with the cargo." "What kind of cargo?" Sarah thought to herself. Then she heard something that made her blood turn cold. "Make sure the kids don't try to escape again," the first man said. "We lost 2 last week, and the boss was not happy. This time, we keep them locked up tight until the buyers come." Sarah's hand started shaking. Kids? Buyers? This wasn't just some regular crime. This was something much worse. She reached for her radio to call for backup, but her elbow bumped against a trash can. The metal made a loud clang that echoed through the alley. Everything went quiet. "Did you hear that?" one of the men whispered. Sarah held her breath and didn't move a muscle. Maybe they would think it was just a cat or the wind. "Check it out," the man with the accent ordered. Heavy footsteps started walking toward where Sarah was hiding. She could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. There was nowhere to run. She was trapped between the wall and three very dangerous men. The footsteps got closer and closer. Sarah closed her eyes and prayed she wouldn't be found. But when she opened them again, a tall man in a black suit was standing right in front of her, staring down with cold, dark eyes. "Well, well," he said with a nasty smile. "Look what we have here." The man grabbed Sarah's radio before she could use it. "Looks like we have a problem, boys," he called his friends. "We got ourselves a listening ear." Sarah tried to run, but another man appeared and blocked her path. Now she was surrounded, with no way to escape and no way to call for help. "What do we do with her?" the second man asked. The leader looked at Sarah like she was a bug he wanted to step on. She heard too much. You know what that means. Sarah's training kicked in. She was outnumbered, but she wasn't going down without a fight. She reached for her gun, but the third man was faster. He knocked her weapon away, and it clattered across the concrete. "Please," Sarah said, trying to buy time. "I didn't hear anything important. I was just walking by." The leader laughed, but it wasn't a nice sound. "Officer, we both know that's not true." That's when Sarah realized something terrible. These men knew she was a cop. They had been watching her, following her, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Take her phone, too," the leader ordered. "We can't have her sending any messages." As one of the men reached for her phone, Sarah saw something that gave her a tiny bit of hope. Across the street, barely visible in the shadows, someone was watching them. It was Marcus, the homeless man from earlier. He had followed her here. Sarah tried not to look directly at him, but she could see him slowly reaching into his ragged jacket. What was he planning to do? He was just one man against three dangerous criminals. The leader pulled out a gun and pointed it right at Sarah's chest. "Nothing personal, officer. Just business." Sarah closed her eyes, waiting for the worst to happen. But instead of a gunshot, she heard a voice that surprised everyone. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." All three men spun around to see Marcus standing at the mouth of the alley. But he didn't look like the same homeless man from earlier. His back was straight, his eyes were sharp, and he held himself like someone who knew how to fight. "Walk away, old man," the leader said, pointing his gun at Marcus now. "This doesn't concern you." Marcus stepped closer, and Sarah saw something that shocked her. Under his torn jacket, she could see the edge of a bulletproof vest. This was no ordinary homeless person. "Actually, it does concern me," Marcus said calmly. "You see, I've been watching you three for weeks." The second man looked nervous. "Who is this guy?" "My name is Marcus Thompson," he said, pulling out a badge that made Sarah's jaw drop. "FBI Undercover Division." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. The homeless man she bought coffee for was actually a federal agent? The leader's face went white. "That's impossible. We checked everyone in this area." Marcus smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "You checked the cops, the shop owners, and the regular people. But you never thought to check the homeless man that everyone ignores." "You're lying," the third man said, but his voice was shaking. 3 weeks ago, Agent Kelly Martinez went missing while investigating your trafficking ring. Marcus continued. "She was my partner. And my wife." Sarah felt her heart sink. The missing agent had the same last name as her. That couldn't be a coincidence. "So you see," Marcus said, his voice getting dangerous, "this is very personal for me." The leader tried to look tough, but Sarah could see sweat on his forehead. "Even if you are FBI, you're just one man. We have guns and we have the girl. Actually, you don't have a girl anymore." Everyone looked around, confused. Where was Sarah? While the men were distracted by Marcus, she had slowly moved behind a dumpster. But that's not what Marcus meant. "Look up," Marcus said. High above them, on the fire escape of the building next door, red laser dots appeared on all three men's chests. Sarah looked up and saw dark figures with rifles aimed down at the alley. "My backup has been in position for 10 minutes, Marcus explained. "I was just waiting for you to confess to everything, which you kindly did while threatening Officer Martinez." The leader's hand started shaking. "This is a setup." "Yes, it is," Marcus said. "We've been trying to catch your boss for months. You three are small fish, but you're going to help us catch the big one." Suddenly, the second man made a desperate move. He lunged toward Sarah with a knife she hadn't seen before. "If we're going down, we're taking her with us." But Marcus was faster. In one smooth motion, he tackled the man and knocked the knife away. They crashed to the ground, fighting for control. "Sarah, run," Marcus yelled as he wrestled with the attacker. But Sarah wasn't going to leave him. She grabbed her gun from where it had fallen and pointed it at the leader. "Nobody move." The leader laughed. "You think this is over? You have no idea how big this operation is. Even if you catch us, there are dozens more waiting to take our place." That's when Marcus said something that changed everything. "We're not just after your trafficking ring," he said, still holding down the man with the knife. "We're after the person who's been protecting you, the person who's been telling you which cops to avoid and which investigations to shut down." Sarah felt sick to her stomach. "You mean?" "Yes," Marcus said grimly. "There's a dirty cop helping them. Someone high up in your police department has been selling information to these criminals." The leader started laughing again, even with laser sights pointed at his chest. "You'll never find out who it is. And even if you do, you'll never prove it. Actually," Marcus said, pulling out a small recording device, "I just did." The alley went dead silent, except for the sound of the recording playing back everything the men had just confessed to, including something none of them had expected. In the background of their conversation, they could all hear a phone ringing and then a familiar voice answering. "Chief Peterson here. Did you take care of the Martinez problem yet?" Sarah felt like the ground was disappearing under her feet. Chief Peterson wasn't just her boss. He was a man who had hired her, trained her, and told her she was like the daughter he never had. How could he be working with criminals? "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "That has to be fake. Chief Peterson would never." Marcus looked at her with sad eyes. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I know this is hard to hear." The leader of the criminals was still smiling, even with FBI agents pointing guns at him from above. "Your precious chief has been taking our money for 2 years. Every time a cop got too close to our operation, he made sure they got transferred to different cases." Sarah's mind started racing. She remembered all the times investigations had been suddenly dropped, all the times witnesses had disappeared before they could testify, all the times evidence had gone missing from the police station. "Kelly Martinez was getting too close," the leader continued. "She figured out someone inside was helping us. So Chief Peterson told us exactly where she'd be and when she'd be alone." "What did you do to her?" Marcus asked, his voice full of anger. "She's alive," the man said quickly when he saw how dangerous Marcus looked. "The boss keeps her locked up with the other girls. Insurance, he calls it." Sarah felt a tiny bit of hope. If Kelly was still alive, maybe they could save her. But first, they had to deal with Chief Peterson. Marcus's radio crackled to life. "Agent Thompson, this is Command. We have a problem." Marcus pressed a button. "Go ahead." Chief Peterson just left the police station with 6 armed officers. "They're heading straight for your location." Sarah's blood went cold. "He knows we're here." "How is that possible?" Marcus asked. The leader started laughing again. "You think the chief is the only cop we own? Your radio calls go through the police dispatch system. Every word you've said has been reported back to us." Sarah realized with horror that meant every cop she trusted, every person she worked with every day, could be working for criminals. She didn't know who was safe and who wanted to hurt her. "We have to get out of here," she said. But Marcus shook his head. "If we run now, they'll just disappear and start over somewhere else. And Kelly will never be found. Then what do we do?" Marcus looked up at his backup agents on the fire escape. "Change of plans," he called. "Peterson's coming with reinforcements. We need to make this look real." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. "We need to make Peterson think his men succeeded Marcus explained. Sarah, I'm going to need you to trust me completely. Can you do that? Sarah looked at this man who had spent weeks pretending to be homeless just to catch criminals and save missing people. Yes. Marcus pulled out what looked like a small packet of red paint. This is going to look very scary, but I promise you'll be safe. Before Sarah could ask what he meant, Marcus squeezed the packet, and red liquid splattered across her police uniform. It looked exactly like blood. Lie down and don't move, he whispered. No matter what you hear, stay perfectly still. Sarah lay down on the dirty alley ground just as the sound of police sirens filled the air. Marcus quickly tied up the 3 criminals, but he left their mouths uncovered so they could talk. Remember, he told them quietly, if you want to live through this, you'll tell Peterson exactly what I told you to say. The police cars screeched to a stop at the mouth of the alley. Sarah could hear car doors slamming and heavy footsteps running toward them. What happened here? Chief Peterson's voice boomed through the alley. The homeless guy was FBI, one of the criminals shouted. He had backup. They shot the lady cop and took him away. Through barely open eyes, Sarah could see Chief Peterson walking closer. He was looking right at her body, lying on the ground, covered in fake blood. Is she dead? Peterson asked. Yeah. The criminal lied. The FBI guys shot her when she tried to call for backup. Chief Peterson stared down at Sarah for a long moment. Sarah had to use every bit of strength she had not to breathe too heavily or move. One wrong move, and Peterson would know she was still alive. Good, Peterson said finally, and Sarah felt her heart break. The man she had trusted and looked up to was happy that she was supposedly dead. What about the FBI agent? Peterson asked. His backup took him away, the criminal answered. Said they were going to question him at some secret location. Peterson nodded. Perfect. With Martinez gone and this one dead, our operation can continue without any more problems. But what Peterson didn't know was that Marcus was hiding in the shadows above them, recording every single word. And Sarah wasn't the only one listening to Peterson celebrate her fake death. FBI agents all around the building were hearing everything through hidden microphones. Clean up this mess, Peterson told his officers. Make sure there's no evidence left behind. That's when Sarah heard something that made her blood freeze. One of Peterson's officers was walking toward her with a gun drawn. Chief, the officer said, shouldn't we make sure she's really dead? Sarah's heart was beating so fast, she was sure everyone could hear it. The corrupt officer was only 3 steps away from her now, and his gun was pointed right at her head. Don't be stupid, Collins, Chief Peterson snapped. She's obviously dead. Look at all that blood. But Officer Collins kept walking closer. I just want to be sure, Chief. Dead cops ask a lot of questions. Sarah closed her eyes and prepared for the worst. But suddenly, she heard a loud crash from the other end of the alley. What was that? Peterson shouted. All the corrupt cops turned to look at the noise, giving Marcus the chance he'd been waiting for. He dropped down from the fire escape like a silent shadow and landed right behind Peterson. FBI! Nobody move, Marcus yelled, pressing his gun against Peterson's back. At the same exact moment, FBI agents appeared from every direction, from rooftops, from behind cars, from inside buildings. The corrupt cops were completely surrounded. Drop your weapons now, the FBI agents shouted. Sarah opened her eyes and sat up, wiping the fake blood off her face. Officer Collins looked like he had seen a ghost. You're supposed to be dead, he stammered. Sorry to disappoint you, Sarah said, standing up and brushing dirt off her uniform. Peterson's face went bright red with anger. You set me up. You set yourself up, Marcus replied. We have everything on recording. Your confession. Your celebration when you thought Sarah was dead. Your plans to continue the trafficking operation. This won't stick in court, Peterson said, but his voice was shaking. It's all fake evidence. Marcus smiled. Actually, there's something else you don't know about. He pulled out his phone and showed Peterson a video. On the screen, they could see Kelly Martinez, Marcus's wife and partner, sitting in what looked like a warehouse, very much alive. Kelly's been wearing a hidden camera this whole time, Marcus explained. She's been recording everything from inside your operation. Names, faces, locations, bank account numbers, everything. Peterson's eyes went wide. That's impossible. She's been locked up for 3 weeks. She let herself get captured, Marcus said. It was all part of our plan to get evidence from the inside. Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. You mean Kelly Martinez volunteered to be kidnapped? Marcus nodded. She knew it was the only way to find all the missing girls and identify every person involved in the trafficking ring. On the phone screen, they could see Kelly giving a thumbs up to the camera. Behind her, FBI agents were freeing dozens of young girls from their prison. The warehouse has been raided, Marcus announced. All the victims are safe, and your boss, the man you've been taking orders from, is in handcuffs. Peterson tried one last desperate move. He reached for the gun in Colin's hand, but Sarah was faster. She tackled Peterson to ground and held him there while FBI agents put handcuffs on him. Chief Peterson, Sarah said as they pulled him to his feet, you're under arrest for human trafficking, corruption, and conspiracy. Peterson looked at her with hate in his eyes. You have no idea what you've done, Martinez. This operation was bigger than you can imagine. When the real bosses find out what happened here, you'll never be safe. Let them come, Sarah said bravely. I'm not afraid anymore. As the FBI agents led Peterson and his corrupt cops away, Marcus walked over to Sarah. I owe you an apology, he said. I should have told you who I really was from the beginning. Sarah shook her head. You were protecting your mission and trying to save those girls. I understand. There's something else, Marcus said quietly. The reason Kelly and I picked you to help us, your father was a cop who first discovered this trafficking ring 5 years ago. Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. Her father had died in a car accident when she was in police academy. What do you mean? Your father, Officer Robert Martinez, found evidence of the trafficking operation and was going to expose it. But before he could, someone tampered with his car brakes. Tears started forming in Sarah's eyes. You're saying my father was murdered? Marcus nodded sadly. Peterson ordered his death to keep the secret safe. Your father died trying to save those girls, just like you almost did today. Sarah looked around the alley where she had almost lost her life. But instead of feeling scared, she felt proud. Her father had been a hero, and now she was carrying on his work. The girls are all safe now, she asked. Every single one, Marcus confirmed. 43 girls from 12 different countries, all going home to their families. 3 months later, Sarah stood in a courtroom and watched Chief Peterson get sentenced to life in prison without parole. Officer Collins and the other corrupt cops got 20 years each. The trafficking ring was completely destroyed. After the trial, Marcus and Kelly Martinez visited Sarah at her new job. She had been promoted to detective and was now working on a special task force that hunted down criminals who hurt children. Your father would be so proud, Kelly said, giving Sarah a hug. Sarah smiled. I think he would be proud of all of us. As they walked out of the courthouse together, Sarah thought about that morning 3 months ago when she had bought coffee for a homeless man. She had no idea that one simple act of kindness would lead to the biggest criminal case of her life. But most importantly, she had learned that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes they wear police uniforms. Sometimes they carry FBI badges. And sometimes they look like homeless people that everyone else ignores. The most important lesson of all was that she had learned to trust her instincts and never give up fighting for what's right, even when the people she trusted most turned out to be the enemy. And somewhere out there, 43 girls were sleeping safely in their own beds, all because a homeless man had whispered 3 simple words. Don't say anything. What did you think of this incredible story? Did the twist surprise you? Like this story if you were shocked by Chief Peterson's betrayal. Comment below. Which moment had you on the edge of your seat? Was it when Marcus revealed he was FBI, or when Sarah had to play dead? Subscribe for more amazing stories like this. We post new thrilling tales every week that will keep you entertained until the very end. Share this story with someone who loves plot twists and heroes who fight for justice.